Good evening, all. The Office of Alumni Affairs and Advancement welcomes you to the second conversation series under the flagship event, the Alumni Series, a dialogue where our distinguished alumni engages with the Ahmedabad University community and outside. So here we are with yet another inspiring conversation with two of our extremely bright, ingenious, and outstanding alumni, Prateek Gupta and Jani. Before introducing Prateek and Neet to our audience, let me announce that Professor Neha Desai, who is Director at the Office of Alumni Affairs and Advancement, who has been working very hard arranging for this session today, will not be able to lead this conversation due to some unavoidable circumstances. I will be conducting the same on her behalf. However, I thank Professor Neha for helping me in all possible ways so that this session could be conducted with ease. Thank you, Neha, and we'll miss you today. Nothing is as rewarding and pleasing, for a teacher as seeing her students high flying, and growing to reach the stars and the moon, get distinguished and yet growing and inspiring to be stars themselves. I feel great to see Prateek and Neet as these promising stars and aspiring change makers with their contribution to the society. Prateek Gupta is a director, editor, producer, two-time National Award winning filmmaker, co-founder at Videowala Productions and Harfan Maula Films. He was co-director and editor for Gunga Pahalwan, a film that won National Award for Best Debut 2015. He was also producer, co-writer and editor for Helaro, a film that won the National Award for Best Feature Film in 2019. Welcome, Prateek.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Jani is a director, producer, two-time National Award filmmaker again, co-founder at Videowala Productions and Harfan Maula Films. He was co-director for Gunga Pahalwan and producer for Helaro. He also made a cameo appearance in the film. Welcome, Meet Jani.
Thank you so much.
Both of them are alumni, BCom program from the class of 2010. Welcome again, Prateek and Meet.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's great to be here.
You were batchmates at HL Institute of Commerce, which is what our BCom program was popularly known as then. Coming from a different background, with a different set of inspirations and aspirations, seeing future from different kind of lenses, how did destiny bring both of you together to share a dream like this? What clicked between you in a manner that you ended up making a history for the Gujarati cinema, founding a social, from what I remember from those days, founding a social service forum, Infinity, during your undergraduate program that has conducted innumerable events and activities under its ages. I remember we had Infinity Week, every year to help the underprivileged and the needy ones. Being a part of Nazaria Film Club and collaborating with Drashti Media and touching the lives of many of your fellow mates with its screenings and different events and activities and many more participations in different cultural events. How do you think this journey at your undergraduate program play a significant role in achieving the dream that you're living or aspiring to live? And how did this journey help in shaping the identity that you carved so well later as filmmakers? I want both of you, Prateek and me, to kind of share with our students, Ahmedabad University community, for each one of you, your journey following this.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Right. So when I entered college, I was a very different kind of a student. I was someone who was very focused on becoming a chartered accountant. I was already enrolled in the program for Chartered Accountant when I started my BCom program. I already given my CCT, I already cleared it. So my entire focus was on that. But as and when their events started coming in the college, I remember the first time there was this elocution competition. And I remember Saptam ma'am was the one that I had to like internally जो एक बार का selection होता है तो उसके लिए जब करना होता है, I remember I was like shivering when I was trying to speak in front of her. It was such a task, and that was the first time that I realized that and there was so much support from the college given for all these various activities that you mentioned, like right from Infinity to all the cultural activities that we did. We also tried to do SICO, in which me and Meet both were parts in different years, where we did a lot of events, a lot of debate competitions, quizzes, a lot of theater that we did together. There was so much support from the college, from all the professors, from Webber sir, from you, Sharija ma'am, Neha ma'am, Parag sir, MT Patel sir, that it just broadened my horizon. And I remember the fateful day, because you asked how destiny brought us together. So me and Meet were brought together because during those times the mobile phones had prepaid connections and I didn't have balance any of the time, and Meet had a Reliance phone which had unlimited calling facility. So that is how we came together, because I had to make a few calls and Meet was always there with his phone, and so that is how we became friends. But theater was what brought us together. And one fine day, Saturday I think used to be noon for us in those days. And one fine day, there was a Nazaria Film Club screening that was going to happen, which was screening the documentary India Untouched. And I've recounted this story many times to many people, but I had never watched a documentary formally before that. Like we watch things on Nat Geo or Discovery, but nothing like a documentary film screening. So Meet just said that there's a documentary film screening, let's go and watch. And I was like, yeah, documentary कौन देखेगा यार, बोर हो जाएंगे यार, ऐसा let's not go for the documentary, let's just go out and just roam around or have some coffee outside. So he's like, नहीं चलना, देखते हैं, बहुत मजा आएगा, मैंने सुना है बहुत अच्छी फिल्म है. And we went, and 4 or 5 of us actually went for the screening, and it was a packed auditorium. And Sharija ma'am and Neha ma'am were running the film club along with Nazaria at that point in time. And I remember it was a 2-hour film, and I watched it in rapt attention, and I was just amazed at how the issues of untouchability and how the issues of caste system were tackled in that film. And I remember that Stalin was there, the filmmaker, Stalin K was there for the post-screening discussion. And I think that was the point in time that I think that my entire world changed. My worldview started to just become broad after that point in time. And that was, I think, the foundation of where my filmmaking journey at least started. Meet might have a different point of inspiration that he must have found, but that was the point in time that it just started. And I think Nazaria Film Club played a tremendous role. And after that, we became a part of the Nazaria Film Festival. We also did it 1 year for the university, where we did the festival. Of course, the Nazaria Film Club was running for a few years, and a lot of screenings were done, and we became an active part of it. Saw a lot of documentary films, and that is how it all started. In the meantime, we also had to finish our CA, so that we did with with a lot of effort. But I think that after that, it was just time to explore, and so that is how the journey into filmmaking began.
If मेरी बात करूँ तो मैं I come from a Surendranagar place called Surendranagar. यहाँ से अहमदाबाद से it's 120 kilometers away. तो मेरी initial time में result आया था, उसके 1 महीने पहले I visited the campus and I wanted to get into the HLIC. मैंने बहुत सुना था and I thought कि मुझे जाना है तो यही कॉलेज में जाना है. तो I distinctly remember मैं प्रिंसिपल सर के ऑफिस में गया and पराग सर थे वहाँ पे. मैंने उनको पूछा कि मैं यहाँ से आता हूँ और मुझे यहाँ पे एडमिशन चाहिए. तो उन्होंने बोला ऐसे नहीं मिलता है, यू नीड टू फिल अप द फॉर्म, एंड उस तरीके से पूरा प्रोसीजर उन्होंने समझाया मुझे. बोला ठीक है सर, देखते हैं. तो बोले अगर आप क्वालिफाइड है तो ही आपको मिल पाएगा, अदरवाइज देयर इज नो अदर वे दैट यू कैन गेट इनटू द कॉलेज. तो बोला ठीक है सर, देखते हैं. मैंने प्रिपरेशन अच्छी की, आई विल डेफिनेटली गेट इनटू द कॉलेज. बोले ठीक है, विल सी. और फिर बाद में व्हेन रिजल्ट्स केम, तो आई वाज रियली एक्साइटेड दैट आई एम फाइनली गोइंग टू दिस कॉलेज, बिकॉज वो परसेंटेज उस तरीके से सेट हो गए थे. तो मैं बोला चलो ठीक है, फाइनली आई विल गो इनटू दिस कॉलेज. और फिर बाद में जैसे प्रतीक ने बताया, तो मेरा बहुत ही पहले से इनिशियली थॉट इतना ही था कि आई वांट टू एक्सप्लोर। जब मैं सुरेंद्र नगर में था, जब मैं वहाँ पे पढ़ाई कर रहा था, तो आई जस्ट वांटेड टू सी थिंग्स फ्रॉम अ डिफरेंट लेंस। वहाँ पे बहुत ही लिमिटेड चीजें थी फॉर मी टू डू, सो आई ऑलवेज वांटेड टू डू थिएटर्स, आई ऑलवेज वांटेड टू बी अ पार्ट ऑफ लोकेशन कंपटीशन, डिबेट कंपटीशन। और जैसे मैं कॉलेज में एंट्री लिया तो जो सबसे पहला कंपटीशन था उसके अंदर आई एनरोल्ड। मुझे याद है शायद कॉलेज में मेरे क्लास में 2 या 3 ही लोग थे, तो मैं था, प्रतीक था, एंड आई थिंक शायद एक और कोई था, तो हम 3 लोग ने ही पार्टिसिपेट किया था। तो मुझे लगा चलो ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, लेट मी ट्राई। तो मैंने पूरा गुजराती में प्रिपेयर किया था एंड प्रतीक ने पूरा इंग्लिश में प्रिपेयर किया था। उस तरीके से पूरा कुछ एक कॉम्पिटिशन था। और फिर बाद में फाइनली ऐसा हुआ कि प्रतीक गॉट सिलेक्टेड इन दैट कॉम्पिटिशन। सो वहां से हमारा एज अ फ्रेंडशिप का जर्नी बिगेन। और फिर बाद में वी यूज्ड टू टेक नोट्स। मुझे शुरुआत में बहुत ही दिक्कत आ रहा था इंग्लिश में, तो एग्जाम के एक दिन पहले सुबह 6 बजे मैं प्रतीक को कॉल करता था और फिर वो मुझे पूरा समरी बताता था कि ये पूरे चैप्टर में क्या है, और उस तरीके से मैं एग्जाम देता था। तो उस तरीके की हमारी थोड़ी जर्नी रही है। पता नहीं, एज अ फिल्म मेकर मुझे ऐसा था कि मुझे बहुत कुछ काम करना है। सो माय इनिशियल थॉट वाज टू टेक पार्टिसिपेशन इन मोस्ट ऑफ द एक्टिविटीज, और फिर बाद में देखना है कि क्या करना है। सो बाय दैट टाइम आई बिकेम फ्रेंड विद प्रतीक, आयुष है, और बाकी काफी लोग हम लोग के दोस्त बने। तो हमारा बॉन्ड इतना स्ट्रांग हो गया था, तो हम सब लोग सीए कर रहे थे। तो हमको ऐसा था कि अपन एक सीए की पार्टनरशिप करेंगे और उसमें हम लोग साथ में काम करेंगे, वो हमारा इनिशियल प्लान था। बट जब हम लोग ने वॉलंटियरिंग चालू किया, हम लोग नजरिया में जुड़े, दृष्टि में जुड़े, और काफी सारी फिल्म्स देखी, तो हमारा काफी सारा इंस्पिरेशन वहां से आया। हम लोग ने जब फिल्म्स देखी तो काफी सेंसिटाइज हुए, और हमको लगा कि दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी शुड टेल टू द वर्ल्ड व्हाट वी फील। और कहीं कहीं हमारे थॉट्स मैच हो रहे थे, तो हमको लगा कि चलो व्हाई नॉट ट्राई एंड मेक अ फिल्म। तो मुझे याद है डिस्टिंक्टिवली, हम लोग 3rd ईयर में थे और दृष्टि का हम लोग एक फिल्म फेस्टिवल ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे थे, और तब एक ये थॉट आया था कि व्हाई नॉट मेक अ फिल्म एंड सी हाउ इट गोज। तो हमको वहां से इनिशियली थोड़ा सा गाइडेंस मिला, एंड देन वी स्टार्टेड, देन वी मेड अ फिल्म। बहुत ही गंदी फिल्म थी, जो सबसे पहली फिल्म बनाई थी, पर वो बहुत ही स्पेशल थी। और उसके बाद हमको पता चला कि यार ये बहुत मजा आ रहा है, साथ में काम करने को भी मिल रहा है, और अपने को जो बात कहनी है वो बात भी कह पा रहे हैं, और देखते हैं कैसा जाता है। सो आई थिंक ड्यूरिंग द जर्नी ऑफ गूंगा पहलवान ऑल्सो, ये क्वेश्चन बहुत आता था व्हेन वी पास्ड आवर सीए एग्जामिनेशन। जब मैं सीए बन चुका था और घर से थोड़ा प्रेशर था कि क्यों फिल्म मेकिंग एज अ करियर यू आर टेकिंग इट, मतलब डेफिनेटली यहाँ पे काफी प्रॉस्परस है। तो मुझे लगा नहीं, मतलब ये दिस इज समथिंग स्पेशल। मतलब मैं पहले से ऐसा था कि मुझे सब लोग के साथ काम करना है, लेट अस सी हाउ इट गोज। तो धीरे धीरे मेरा इंटरेस्ट डेवलप हुआ फिल्म मेकिंग में, एंड दैट्स हाउ जर्नी स्टार्टेड।
Yeah, thank you. I mean, whatever experiences that you have shared, brings back a lot of memories, not only for me and other faculty members who were part of, undergraduate programs at that point in time, but many other students who have joined today in the alumni series. Um, so, a journey from crunching numbers to telling stories. I know you love to tell stories back then because I've heard some of these stories in the classroom, especially from Meet. But your educational aspirations, as you said, were more on the academic side, doing chartered accountancy. And both of you indeed fulfilled that. You are chartered accountants. And in fact, Prateek did take for, I think, 1 year or so, did take some sessions, as an adjunct faculty with Ahmedabad University. However, you had a change of heart and decided to pursue a more creative path and ended up becoming national award filmmakers. Um, I'm very much interested in knowing, and I think it will help the audience as well. How difficult was it for both of you to come out of this comfort zone and tread a path not taken? You must have faced, your relevant share of insecurities and struggle, pressure from family members, as Amit already shared when you took this step. Tell us, how was it like, and what guided you then, provided you to take this leap of faith and venture into something which was absolutely new and unconventional. I think your experiences shared on this platform might become an inspiration and strength for some who are listening to both of you, and who might have to face this in future or are facing it already. and they need this inspiration, they need this guiding light, for a road not taken. Maybe if you can share what was that going on in your mind, and how did you get through it?
So when I like when my interest developed in documentary filmmaking, and so till then making a film was very difficult. So DSLRs with digital capabilities were not there, so there were a lot of barriers, and especially like because we were doing our chartered accountancy from the family, there were a lot of like वो लोग बिल्कुल भी कन्विंस नहीं थे कि हम लोग फिल्म बनाएं. और हमने जो हमारी फर्स्ट फिल्म बनाई थी वो सीए फाइनल एग्जाम के आई थिंक 5 महीने पहले खत्म हुई थी. So they were all very on the edge in terms of whether we will be able to do our CA and why we are doing something else. There was a lot of convincing that went into कि नहीं हम कर लेंगे, कर रहे हैं, I'm doing it, I will try, I will finish that. Luckily, and through God's grace, CA was done by then. But then there was a very difficult point in time where we had to decide in terms of what we had to do as a career choice. Because now that CA was done, and my father is a practicing chartered accountant, so there was always this expectation that I will join his practice and I will just and I'll work with him and continue with him and then expand in that field. And I did join the practice for 1 year. I started practicing with him, but I realized that that is not something where my calling lies. And so there was always this conflict within me that I do not want to do this. Like I was okay with it. It was not that I was bad at it, but I just didn't want to do it. And at that point in time, I was also teaching. I was also taking some sessions at Ahmedabad University for taxation that particular year. And I remember, and I was also studying for my CAT because somehow I thought that if not working as a chartered accountant, maybe I'd study some more and then probably do something else. So I was preparing for my CAT, and I remember that I already enrolled for it, and it was in October that the exam was, 30th October or something like that year. And in September, I just had this conversation with another friend, and I was like, I just decided overnight that I think I should take a 1 year break from doing all of this. So I remember that I took a sheet of, I was in the office that the next day, and I took a sheet of paper with my life plan charted out to just explain it to my father that I just need this 1 year. Even if I lose this 1 year, what will my plan be for, what is my plan B if this does not work out? And he wasn't very convinced, but then he was very open to listening to this. And then at one point in time, he said that it's okay, you're just 22 right now. You can just, it's okay if you take a year off from this. But अपने घर पर ये फिल्म वगैरह ये सब लाइन में कोई गया नहीं है और ऐसा ये अच्छी लाइन नहीं है. So that were his precise words. And I remember that we didn't have any film in the pipeline at that point in time. So then this entire क्या break ले लिया है तो अब कुछ शुरू करना पड़ेगा. Then this entire journey of finding a film. And I remember we found a film. And उस time पर मीत का शायद CA final का नवंबर में exam आने वाला था. And I remember that we'd found a film, me, Piyush, and this other friend. We'd found a film which was अभी जो कागज जो film आई, Pankaj Tripathi, if you remember, that was based on the story of Lal Bihari Mritak. So we were supposed to make a documentary on him in 2012. So we were already researching, and we'd already gone there for the research, and we had a lot of run-ins with trouble during that, and so we had to drop that film at that point in time because we didn't have the kind of money that he was expecting for us to give him to make that documentary. But then again, that entire struggle of what will happen if this does not work out. And then Gunga Pelwan's story came along. We read it in Mint Lounge. I think that was something that Hindustan Times business newspaper ka ek supplement aata tha every week. We found that story tough enough, and then I think the journey of Gunga Pelwan began from there. But even after that, there was a lot of barriers because till the point in time we didn't win the national award, which was in the national award was announced in March of 2015. We started making Gunga Pelwan in September of 2012. Till that point in time, it was a constant struggle within the family. It was a constant struggle financially to make ends meet. But we believed in the film, and we believed that साथ में है तो कुछ तो कर लेंगे. And I think that was how it all panned out for us. Even though there was a lot of barriers, and but I think our belief in what we were doing, our belief in storytelling led us to do this. And of course, we were smart enough to not just rely on documentary films. We started, we thought that if we want to earn money, it should be through films. It should be through the medium that we want to explore in the future. And so we started Video Wala Productions. A lot of us started it at the beginning, and then I think me, Meet, and Ayush are continuing it for now since the past almost a decade now. Next year we'll complete a decade of Video Wala Productions, and that is how it happened for me.
Meet, what was happening in Surendranagar back then?
Okay, तो मुझे याद है जब प्रतीक ने मेरे से पहले पास कर दिया था, एंड मैं एक अलग ही जोन में चला गया था. यहाँ पे मैं पीजी में मेरे तकरीबन 18 पीजी मैंने चेंज कर दिए थे, एंड आई वाज फेड अप. तो मैंने बोला मैं अभी सुरेंद्रनगर जाके प्रिपरेशन करूंगा, अभी अहमदाबाद से नहीं हो पाएगा. तो जब मैं सुरेंद्रनगर गया तो वहाँ पे जोन ही अलग था, मैं सिर्फ अकेला प्रिपेयर कर रहा था. तो मैंने पापा की ऑफिस ज्वाइन किया, मैंने रिटर्न फाइलिंग चालू किया, मैं पापा के साथ कंसल्टेंसी बिजनेस में जुड़ा, और मुझे लगा कि शायद मैं सीए तो शायद ही होऊंगा, मैं अभी बिजनेस ज्वाइन कर रहा हूँ, ऐसा मुझे लग रहा था. बट समहाउ अंदर से इट वाज नॉट फीलिंग गुड, मुझे मजा नहीं आ रहा था. एंड चिंतन जो एक दोस्त है हमारा, तो चिंतन के साथ बात हो रही थी, तो चिंतन ने बोला तो बस अब यही लाइफ है तेरी, सीए होगा नहीं होगा बट तू यहाँ पे बिजनेस में जुड़ जाएगा. तो मैंने बोला नहीं यार, पता नहीं, देखते हैं कैसे लाइफ आगे जाती है. तो somehow Ayush and me, we both were preparing for CA finals examination. फिर आयुष के साथ बात हो रही थी, आयुष ने बोला कोई बात नहीं, मैं आता हूँ सुरेंद्रनगर, अपन साथ में प्रिपरेशन करेंगे और साथ में निकालेंगे. फिर वो आया और हम लोग ने 2 महीना प्रिपरेशन किया, और उस टाइम पे आई रियलाइज के ये मुझे नहीं करना है. उतना मैं श्योर हो गया था सीए नहीं हो पाएगा. और बाय दैट टाइम दिवाली के टाइम पे मेरा प्रतीक का कॉन कॉल हुआ था, और वहां पे हम लोग डिसाइड कर रहे थे कि अब क्या करेंगे नेक्स्ट. मुझे लग रहा है कि शायद मैं पास हो जाऊंगा, तू तो ऑलरेडी पढ़ा रहा है, पर तुझे क्या पढ़ा रहा है नहीं. और फिर बाद में ऐसा हुआ कि नहीं, अपन फिल्म बनाने का सोच रहे हैं, और एक अच्छी सी स्टोरी मिली है जो कागज की जो बात की. मैंने बोला कोई बात नहीं, लेट मी कंप्लीट दिस, दिसंबर से मैं अहमदाबाद आ रहा हूँ, एंड विल डू वॉट एवर देयर इज. बट ये नहीं हो पाएगा, बिजनेस नहीं हो पाएगा, एंड सीए भी नहीं हो पाएगा. तो बोले कोई बात नहीं, अपन चालू करेंगे. और इस तरीके से आई केम बैक दिसंबर में, और फिर बाद में हम लोग ट्राई कर रहे थे कुछ ना कुछ करने की. और फिर जब जनवरी में रिजल्ट आया, तो जो लोग सीए कर रहे हैं उनको पता है, बट मेरा 400 आया आउट ऑफ 800. सो आई वाज जस्ट ऑन एज, एक मार्क ऐसे, एंड आई वुड हैव गॉन. दूसरे 6 महीने जाते या तो फिर मेरा करियर जाता, कुछ होता, बट समहाउ आई गॉट लकी, और 400 में मैं पास हो गया. तो बहुत सारा एक्साइटमेंट था. और फिर मैंने पापा को बोला, पापा देखो बहुत मेहनत करके 400 आया, अभी थोड़ा सा कंसेशन दो, 6 महीने के लिए मुझे कुछ और करना है, एंड देन विल सी हाउ इट गोज. देन ही अग्रीड टू इट, बोला ठीक है देखते हैं क्या होता है. और फिर बाद में हम लोग ने ये गंगा पहलवान की जर्नी चालू की. और बीच बीच में ऐसा होता था, उनके कॉल आते थे, जब भी मैं घर पे आता था, जब भी मैं सुरेंद्रनगर उनको विजिट करता था, तो उनको वो बहुत पुश करते थे कि व्हाट इफ तुम यहाँ पे ऑफिस ज्वाइन करो, और यहाँ पे ऑफिस में अपना केबिन अलग करो जहाँ पे तुम फिल्म्स देखो, पर बाकी बिजनेस ज्वाइन कर लो साथ में. तो क्या दोनों साथ में होगा, तो अगर ये फिल्म मेकिंग नहीं चलेगा तो एटलीस्ट वो चल जाएगा. एंड आई वाज लाइक कि बहुत मुश्किल है, देखते हैं, दोनों साथ में नहीं हो पाएगा. और शुरुआत में हम लोग को भी बहुत सीखना था एज अ फिल्म मेकर्स, और किस तरीके से फिल्म बनती है, डिसेमिनेशन भी सीखना था. तो दोनों साथ में तो नहीं हो पा रहा था, पर एवरी टाइम देयर वाज अ पुश, बिकॉज फाइनेंशियली उस टाइम पे थोड़ा इतना वेल टू डू नहीं था, बिकॉज कि हम लोग अर्न नहीं कर रहे थे उस टाइम पे. तो बहुत बार ऐसा पुश आ रहा था. आफ्टर मेकिंग द फिल्म ऑफ गंगा पहलवान, उनको लगा कि अभी इनका फैसिनेशन खत्म हो जाएगा, एंड दे विल जॉइन द बिजनेस. मुझे याद है एक बार प्रतीक की ऑफिस पे मेरे पापा आए थे. प्रतीक के पापा ने ऐसे एक मीटिंग हम लोग को बताए बगैर उन्होंने की, और जहाँ पे उन्होंने बोला कि अभी इनका गंगा पहलवान का जर्नी है वो खत्म होगा, एंड दे विल जॉइन आवर बिजनेसेस पर्टिकुलर. मेरे पापा ने बोला मैं मीत को ले जाऊंगा, आप प्रतीक को ले जाओ, और इनकी दोस्ती यहाँ पे खत्म करो. तो फिर बाद में ऑल ऑफ सडन हमको कॉल आता है कि हम लोग इधर बैठे और हम लोग ने कुछ रिजोल्यूशंस लिए हैं, वी वुड लाइक यू टू लिसन टू इट एंड फॉलो इट. हमने बोला देखते हैं क्या होता है. और हम लोग कहीं मीटिंग में गए थे, क्लाइंट मीटिंग में गए थे. जब हम लोग गए तो हम लोग को ऐसे सेट ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शंस दिए गए कि अभी ये टाइम तक अगर तुम लोग इतना पैसा नहीं कमाते, देन यू विल लीव दिस जॉब, एंड आप लोग हमारा बिजनेस ज्वाइन करोगे. हमने बोला ठीक है देखते हैं, करते हैं. और फिर बाद में उसमें भी थोड़ा हम लोग पुश कर रहे थे, और बाय द टाइम हमको नेशनल अवार्ड मिला. उनको लगा कि चलो ठीक है, बंदे थोड़ा ठीक कर लेंगे, पैसे का इतना लोड नहीं लेते हैं, बिकॉज वी वर फ्रॉम द वेल टू डू फैमिली. तो हमको डे एंड मीट नहीं करने थे, तो हमको उतना पुश मिल रहा था कि ठीक है चलो ये खुद का कर रहे हैं जब तक, तब तक दिक्कत नहीं है. तकलीफ कब होती थी, जब कंपैरिजन होते थे, जब मेरा दोस्त क्या कर रहा है, उनके दोस्त क्या कर रहे हैं, जब वो आता था डिस्कशन में, तब तकलीफ होती थी. अदरवाइज इंडिविजुअली वी वर डूइंग गुड. तो जब नेशनल अवार्ड आया तो उनको लगा कि चलो ठीक है, अभी पुश नहीं करते हैं, लेट अस सी हाउ दिस जर्नी इज गोइंग अहेड. और फिर लकीली नेशनल अवार्ड के बाद हम लोग को एज अ वीडियो वाला प्रोडक्शन आल्सो वी ग्रू अ लॉट. और फिर बाद में इट वाज अ लिटिल बिट इजियर, बट अभी भी कहीं ना कहीं अगर मैं उनसे हार्ट टू हार्ट बात करूंगा तो वो बोलेंगे कि ऑफिस ज्वाइन कर ले, तो इसलिए मैं वो बात करता ही नहीं उनसे अब. बट उनका अभी भी ऐसा है कि you should come and join our office. But yes, this is how it is.
Wow. So you're, both of your stories actually vouch, to the fact that there is something called andar ki awaaz, which is real, and it's not just what we see in theory or in words. And it's good to have, for students who are listening to you, it's good to have, plans. What are you going to do if this doesn't work, or if this doesn't work, or this doesn't work, or probably have no plans and just venture out doing something that your heart is kind of asking you to follow. Coming to the most celebrated project, of your production house, Helaro.
Uh,
Helaro,
sorry, ma'am.
yes, sure.
अपन हेलारो की बात करें उससे पहले मुझे 2-3 चीजें और याद आ रही है, तो इज इट
Go
ओके?
ahead.
ओके. सो वीडियो वाला नहीं था कि हमारा पहला वेंचर था. तो जब हम लोग की फ्रेंडशिप इतनी तगड़ी हुई, मैं एफवाई की बात कर रहा हूँ, और हमको कॉलेज में बहुत ही मजा आ रहा था, तो हम लोग को लगा कि वी शुड स्टार्ट समथिंग वेर इन वी मतलब एक बहाना मिलने का. तो हम लोग ने इन्फिनिटी चालू किया कॉलेज के अंदर, और उसके बाद वी वर डेड श्योर कि हमको कुछ और करना है. बट क्योंकि कॉलेज में सारी एक्टिविटी में हम लोग पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे थे, तो हमको कहीं पे भी ऐसा नहीं था कि व्हाट एल्स कैन वी डू. तो हम लोग वी आल्सो ट्राइड टू डू सम फंड रेजिंग फॉर कल्चरल फेस्टिवल, और वहां पे हमको भी मजा आ रहा था. तो हमको लगा चलो कुछ और देखते हैं. हमको याद है कि हमको कुछ बिजनेस करना था, ऐसा हमको बहुत बार ऐसा अंदर का कॉलिंग था. मुझे याद है कि हम लोग को एक कोई कॉलेज मैगजीन बनाना था, उसके लिए हम कुछ प्लान भी बनाया था. फिर बाद में पराग सर से बात किया था, वो मुझे याद आ रहा है, और हम लोग ने मीटिंग किया था बकायदा. सर ने बोला कि आपको मैगजीन क्यों बनानी है? हमको बोला सर हमको मजा आ रहा है, कुछ ऐसा अलग, हमको साथ में कुछ करना है. सर ने हमको सामने दिया था कि अगर तुम लोग साथ में कर रहे हो तो लेट अस वेंचर आउट समथिंग, मैं भी तुमको कुछ आइडिया दूंगा और अपन साथ में कुछ करेंगे. हमको लगा ये सीरियस हो गया. नहीं. और फिर बाद में वी ड्रॉप दैट आइडिया एट दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम, और फिर बाद में सोचा कुछ और सोचेंगे. फिर मुझे याद आ रहा है कुछ हम और भी 1-2 बिजनेस आइडिया सोचे थे. और उसके बाद फाइनली जब मियां महादेव जो हमारी फर्स्ट डॉक्यूमेंट्री थी, उसके बाद हमको किसी एक दोस्त ने बोला कि क्या हमारी कंपनी के लिए तुम कुछ वीडियो बनाओगे? हमने बोला क्यों नहीं. और फिर बाद में वो 2 बार हुआ. जब 2 बार हुआ तो हमको लगा यार यहाँ पे पैसा भी मिल रहा है, साथ में भी काम करने को मिल रहा है, तो व्हाई नॉट टू स्टार्ट दिस फिल्म प्रोडक्शन कंपनी ओनली. जबकि तब तक हमारे पास ना कोई पोर्टफोलियो था, ना कोई ज्यादा क्रेडेंशियल्स थे. हम वी वर जस्ट स्ट्रगलिंग टू डू सीए. तब तक हमारा सीए भी खत्म नहीं हुआ था, शायद प्रतीक का हो गया था, मेरा तो नहीं हुआ था. तो इस तरीके से कुछ हम लोग को करना था, कुछ वो सोचा था. और फिर लास्ट में we came into this idea that okay we will start this thing and this thing we will do very seriously. और फिर बाद में गूंगा पहलवान happened, और फिर बाद में इसी को कमर्शियली हम लोग ने आगे किया.
Yeah, thank you Meet, for sharing this. So coming to Helaro, Helaro, a movie of song and dance leading to fight and freedom, says the Hindu. Hilaro, a celluloid celebration of breaking free, says the Times of India. Of dance, defiance, and dreams, Gujarati film Hilaro is a winner, marks the quint. Hilaro is a beautiful ode to female desire and defiance, announces the first post. Hilaro, small steps, big win, declares Deccan Chronicle. So Helaro became the first Gujarati film to win the National Film Award for Best Feature Film at the 66th National Film Awards. It became the first Gujarati film to be India's entry at Cannes Film Festival, a film that brought a sense of pride and elation to not only Gujarati art fraternity, but to each and every Gujarati and the entire of Gujarat. Tell us, what did it take to make a film like Helaro? What did it take to think like Helaro? Of course, the world has said that it was extraordinary story, remarkable direction, exceptional cinematography, brilliant performances, stirring music, all of these. I feel that it was much more beyond this. I mean, I remember these lines. I mean, it has been kind of engraved. I still listen to this song, and it kind of, this melancholy kind of stirs my soul. તારી નદીઓ પાછી વાળજે, તારી વીજળી ભૂંસી નાખજે, તારા પગના ઝાંઝર રોકજે, તારી કેડીએ બાવળ રોપજે, ને માવડી પાસે માંગજે ખાલી રાત, સપના વિનાની ખાલી રાત, આખી રાત. So, I mean, what was on your minds that the idea of subverting the patriarchal canons of society transpired so very well into Hilaro? I mean, what inspired you to think of this beautifully casting this sheer of pluralism on the uh, prejudicial outlook of the world? Tell us, tell us about conceptualizing, creating, delivering such an exemplar of creative expression, a piercing film, Hilaro. Yeah.
By the time Gunga Pelwan won the national award, and then there was this, okay, what next? We started a couple of documentary films, but we couldn't finish, and there was this frustration rising from within that we are not a part of any other project. It had already been almost 3 years since the time we'd finished the film, even though it was doing the festival circuit and we won the national award. But then there was this pressure, and always there has been this, that we came across a lot of stories, but पता नहीं हमेशा से वो bend ऐसा रहा है that or also with the people that we have been associating with throughout our journey as individuals, I think हमेशा से वो bend रहा था कि आर्ट कुछ सोसाइटी को देना चाहिए या कुछ बोलना चाहिए. It should not be just entertainment is what our ideology was. And I think during our journey we kept meeting people who were of this ideology. So I think the journey of Hellaro began because we were already like a very small part of the Gujarati film industry with Abhishek Jain making Kevirite Jaish and Bayar. He started this entire movement of, making good quality urban Gujarati films, which was called at that point in time, it was called Urban Gujarati Films in 2013-14 when he started this entire thing. And we were a very small part of Bayar where we made a few videos for them and things like that. So we started getting these invitations for film premieres and things like that. We started making these contacts in the industry, and every time we would come out of a film premiere, most of the films, it would just, all of us would just look at each other and say, yaar, अपन को बनाना चाहिए, मतलब ये क्या देखा है सर. So a lot of the films this happened, and when we were discussing films with a lot of the other filmmakers and producers, and they said, तुम बोल रहे हो, तुम बनाओ एक बार, फिर तुमको पता चलेगा कि इतना इजी नहीं है कोई बात कहना. इन गुजराती फिल्म कॉमेडी करनी पड़ती है, 3 दोस्तों की बात बोलनी पड़ती है. You are just saying that this right now. And I remember this very fateful day of Sharad Purnima when there was this film we were cutting a trailer for at Videowala, and they organized some garba with some underprivileged children at a venue, and we were just called there as guests, and so we were all there. And I remember Abhishek Bhai, who directed the film, Abhishek Shah, he was there, and I was just telling about this, that I think now it is high time that we have to start doing something. Sir, apan kuch banate hain. And Abhishek Bhai was associated with us in writing a lot of our commercial work, and he was associated with us, and we were very good friends. We were like family. So he said, यार देख, पिक्चर अगर बनानी है ना, तो मैं बताता हूँ एक कहानी, ऐसा कुछ होना चाहिए. And then he just the logline is like a very small synopsis of the film. He just narrated it in like, so he narrated the logline, then he just went on. I was like, interesting hai, thoda aur batao. And then the aarti began, and I had this diya in my hand, and he just kept on saying what he developed out of that logline, just for a few minutes. And I remember I had goosebumps, and I said, "Ke yaar, ye karna hai sir, ho gaya, decide ho gaya, aaj confirm ke kis." So and then this entire thing. So there was this folk tale that was told to him by someone. So so we just traced that back and just realized that it's truly a folk tale, not an original. And then we decided, and then what he developed was very different from the folk tale. So we started exploring that, and suddenly then Meet, Ayush, we all got together and decided that this is the film that we had to make. And this was something which really spoke to us. I think that's the entire thing. And we had no experience in mounting an entire film. We had no experience. With Gunga Pelwan, we were a crew of what, 6 or 7 people roaming about with 2 cameras on the dusty roads of Haryana, just following this wrestler's journey and just trying to make sense of it. But with mounting an entire feature film set in an era of 1975, it was a completely different challenge. So we had no idea. But I think what helped us was हमेशा हमारा ये रहा है कि कुछ भी हो कूद जाते हैं एक बार कूद जाते हैं, फिर देख लेंगे, उड़ेंगे तो उड़ेंगे, गिरेंगे तो गिरेंगे, एक बार कूद जाते हैं. And then somehow I think we didn't spend a lot of time thinking कि कैसे होगा. We just said कि ये करना है, and then we just started it. And I think me and Abhishek bhai started writing the screenplay. In the meantime, Ayush and me started working on the production plan. We didn't know कितना पैसा लगेगा. I remember that initially when we were pitching it to financiers, we pitched about 1/3 or 1/4 of what we ended up spending, because we had no idea of the kind of challenges the film would throw in our path. And it was just a completely surreal experience for us. 3 years we were just into this and learning all the time. I think it just happened. I think because we had the intention of presenting a film, it just happened, and we were all involved in multiple roles in the film, and there was just so much to do, and somehow everything came together. हम जिसके भी पास ये कहानी लेकर के जाते थे, वो ना नहीं बोलता था. वो बोलता था ठीक है कर लेंगे. हम बोलते थे पर पैसे नहीं है. तो बोलते थे यार तुम यार सब लोग आकर के ऐसे ही बोलते हो कि पैसे नहीं है तुम्हारी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में, ऐसे हो, पर ठीक है चलो कोई बात नहीं, करते हैं, कहानी बहुत अच्छी है, करते हैं. Meet will have a lot many anecdotes because he was involved in a lot of these negotiations with a lot of these key people whom we wanted, जो गुजराती फिल्म में कभी हुआ नहीं था, and we wanted to do something exceptional, and it happened. I think it was just fate that made it happen, and our intentions, and the fact that we were together and we had a team already who was very committed to making this film. So it just happened, and yeah, I think Meet can take this forward from here.
Yeah.
So, before you answer this, because Prateek said about Kood Jana, I can't but mention Professor Chandra here, who is present here, and he uses this line so very often, to roll out his vision of reforming, higher education across the globe, not only in India. Take a leap of faith. Just jump, leap of faith with us, and we probably will be able to change the world. Welcome, Professor Chandra, to the session.
Hello, sir.
Hello,
yes,
sir.
Meet.
Yes, so हम लोग ने जब फिल्म खत्म की थी, गुंगा पहलवान की बात कर रहा हूँ, जब नेशनल अवार्ड मिला, पहले तो घर में अवेयरनेस हम लोग लाए कि हम लोग को डॉक्यूमेंट्री में इस तरीके से फिल्म में अवार्ड मिला है, तो वो अवेयरनेस थोड़ा कम था. और जब हम लोगों से बात करते थे तो सब लोग को ऐसे लग रहा था कि हाँ ये तो नेशनल अवार्ड विनिंग टीम है, तो अभी चलो इनको पैसा देंगे, ये लोग फिल्म बना देंगे. तो एंड हम लोग को ऐसा लगता था कि नहीं यार, इस तरीके से फिल्म नहीं बनती. और समहाउ बिकॉज ऑफ आवर कॉलेज डेज और हम लोग ने जिस तरीके से फिल्में देखी थी, वी वर अ बिट सेंसिटाइज्ड, और हमको कुछ पर्टिकुलर बात कहनी थी फिल्म के अंदर, सिर्फ पैसे बनाने के लिए फिल्म नहीं कहनी थी. और हमको 2-3 बार ऐसे ऑफर्स भी आए जहाँ पे हमको पर्टिकुलर सम ऑफ मनी हमको ऑफर किया जाता था, और बोलते थे लोग कि हम आपको पैसे दे रहे हैं, हमको आपकी टीम पे भरोसा है, आप फिल्म बनाओ. एंड हम लोग को ऐसा था कि नहीं, अगर हमारे पास जब तक स्टोरी नहीं होगी तब तक हम फिल्म नहीं बना पाएंगे. और फिर जब अभिषेक भाई एंड प्रतीक केम एंड हम लोग का जब डिस्कशन हुआ, और जब हम लोग को फाइनली रियलाइज हुआ कि ये फिल्म पे ये स्टोरी पे फिल्म बनानी है, और देन वी स्टार्टेड गोइंग इनटू मार्केट एंड स्टार्टेड अप्रोचिंग पीपल. तो शुरुआत में बहुत बार ऐसा था, क्योंकि ये जो फिल्म का अवार्ड मिला उसके 1 साल पहले हम लोग ने फिल्म बना ली थी गुंगा पहलवान. तो प्रैक्टिकली देयर वर 3-4 years in which we were doing nothing. We were doing commercial work, but in terms of filmmaking in films, we were not doing anything fruitful. तो लोगों को लग रहा था कि यार ये लोग क्या कर रहे हैं, या तो इनका सिर्फ एक ही फिल्म का जर्नी होगा, यहाँ पे इनका खत्म हो जाएगा, एंड देन फाइनली शायद ये लोग सीए ज्वाइन कर लेंगे. वे रिलेटिव्स में उस तरीके से बातें कर रहे थे, पापा बोल रहे थे यार ठीक है देखते हैं. और फिर बाद में जब ये स्टोरी स्ट्राइक हुई और हमको लगा नहीं चलो हम देखते हैं और करते हैं, और इस तरीके से जब ये स्टोरी फाइनलाइज हुई, और फिर बाद में हम लोग ने फिल्म के लिए काम चालू किया. फिल्म के लिए जब प्रतीक ने जैसे बताया कि हम लोगों के पास जाते थे, सबसे पहले जब फाइनेंस की बात आती है तो लोग हाँ बोलते थे ये स्टोरी अच्छी है, बट शायद कुछ और करते हैं तो हम आपके साथ जुड़ना चाहेंगे. और फिर बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट होता था हमको ये बोलना कि हम स्टोरी ये रहेगी, आपको जुड़ना हो तो जुड़ो, अदरवाइज वी विल मूव ऑन। और फाइनली हमको एक जन मिला जो आशीष भाई, जो हमारे फिल्म के फाइनेंसर है, जो हम लोग ने जब उनको फिगर दिया फिल्म बनाने का, और उन्होंने बोला कि नहीं, फिगर से मुझे इतना तकलीफ नहीं है, मुझे आपकी टीम पे भरोसा है, यू गो एंड मेक अ फिल्म, फिल्म अच्छी होनी चाहिए, फिर बाद में अपन लोग देख लेंगे। और फिर बाद में मुझे याद है वो कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम था जहाँ पे मैं, प्रतीक, अभिषेक भाई, आयुष, हम 4 लोग बैठे थे। जब वो आशीष भाई जो फिल्म के फाइनेंसर हैं, जब वो कॉन्फ्रेंस रूम छोड़ के गए और हम लोग एक दूसरे को देख रहे थे, क्या अपनी जर्नी यहाँ पे खत्म हो रही है या यहाँ पे शुरू हो रही है, क्योंकि इन्होंने फाइनली हाँ बोल दिया है कि हम आपके साथ जुड़ेंगे एंड देन लेट अस मेक अ फिल्म। और फिर बाद में हमको लगा चलो ठीक है, उन्होंने जब एडवांस प्रोसेस किया एंड देन वी स्टार्टेड मेकिंग दिस फिल्म। हम लोग का एक्सपीरियंस जरा भी नहीं था, बट समहाउ जो कॉन्टेक्ट हमने बनाए थे इतने सालों के दौरान, सब लोग ने कहीं कहीं हेल्प किया, कहीं कहीं हमारा इंट्रिग था फिल्म बनाने का। तो धीरे धीरे हम लोग वो पजल सॉल्व करते गए और ये फिल्म बनती गई। तो जब फिल्म खत्म हुई तब हमको लगा कि 2 साल चले गए, 3 साल चले गए और पता नहीं चला इतना टाइम चला गया, बट समहाउ साथ में रहने का नशा कुछ और था जिसकी वजह से ये फिल्म बनी। अदरवाइज मुझे पता नहीं है कैसे बनता। बहुत ही डिफिकल्टीज थी, ऐसा नहीं बोलूंगा, मजा आता था, चैलेंजेस बहुत थी, बट समहाउ कोई ना कोई किसी के पास वो एक डिफिकल्टी का सोल्यूशन था और फिर बाद में वी वुड बी एबल टू सॉल्व द प्रॉब्लम एंड देन वी मूव्ड ऑन। जब फिल्म बना रहे थे तो बहुत ही चैलेंजिंग था, चैलेंजिंग से ज्यादा बहुत ही रिस्की था, क्योंकि इस तरीके की फिल्म कभी बनी नहीं थी गुजरात में। बट हमको ऐसा था कि चलो ठीक है, कूदना है तो प्रॉपरली कूदेंगे, फिर बाद में कैलकुलेशन नहीं आएंगे। तो इस तरीके से हम लोग ने शुरू की फिल्म बनाना।
Wow. So you after the award, probably the world would have changed with sudden recognition and accolades from all over the world and invitation to different film festivals and all of it. Um, what was your mechanism to cope with this recognition? I mean, how did it feel? Of course, you would have felt great, but I mean, did you see that as an inspiration, or I mean, I just want to know, because probably this is the kind of time that would come to anybody's life, and it's very important how you deal with it. What does it do to individuals, to a team? You get geared up to do more, or you kind of take a break and enjoy that moment, or it brings kind of more faith in what you're doing, but how all of it happened. And I'm also curious to know, where do you keep these awards? I mean, you have a office space where it is put, and for a display. I mean, how what is it like?
uh, so where do we keep all of these awards? Now there are just too many, because all small and big, there are just too many. So we keep it in the conference room, so that whenever a client comes, we just let him be in the conference room without us being there for at least 2 minutes, so that our bargaining power is increased by all of that. He gets intimidated by that. But yeah,
quote unquote.
but yeah, it also, I mean, what happens is, I think the first reaction is always disbelief. It has always been like that. Like as Meet mentioned, when we got the finance, it was absolute disbelief, because we'd heard no from so many quarters at that point in time. And when this gentleman was coming in, we were like, "के यार ये 35-year-old आ रहा है film finance देने के लिए, हमको बहुत बड़े बड़े लोगों ने मना कर दिया है, ये क्या देगा?" And then I remember I was in my shorts that day in the office, and I said that मैं नहीं change करे यार, नहीं तो otherwise we were presenting very like formally to all the prospective financiers, but it happened. So it was just disbelief कि यार नहीं हुआ है, जब तक उसने एडवांस का चेक नहीं दिया तब तक ऐसा नहीं हुआ है. Same with the first national award. We submitted for the national awards, but we never checked the results, and
सबसे लेट हम लोग ने, मतलब लास्ट डे पे हम जब पतंग चगा रहे थे तब हमको रियलाइज हुआ कि हाँ, नेशनल अवार्ड के लिए सबमिट करना है. ये गंगा पहलवान की बात है. और सबसे लास्ट डे पे हम लोग ने सबमिट किया. मतलब सब लोग झगड़े हैं, डिमांड ड्राफ्ट बने हैं. लास्ट डे पे हम लोग ने सबमिट किया और फिर बाद में भूल गए क्या, ठीक है चलो कर दिया, टिक हो गया बॉक्स में कि हम लोग ने सबमिट किया था. एप्लीकेशन आएगा वो तो विचार में नहीं था.
तो I think that year Kangana Ranaut won the best actress for Queen. So we just remember that वो न्यूज में आने लगता है, जैसे जैसे अनाउंसमेंट शुरू होता है फीचर फिल्म्स का, तो आने लगता है कि ये नेशनल अवार्ड कंगना विंस फॉर क्वीन, बेस्ट हिंदी फिल्म, ये बेस्ट फिल्म कोट मराठी. सो आई रिमेम्बर हम लोग ऑफिस में काम करते थे, वी रिसीव्ड आवर फर्स्ट वेल पेइंग प्रोजेक्ट, And Meet was already in Kutch for that shoot, and हम लोग अगले दिन निकलने वाले थे. We were like के यार देखें क्या रिजल्ट नेशनल अवार्ड का. तो ऐसा हुआ कि चुपचाप काम कर लो, फाइनली काम मिला है. तो पहले काम कर लो, ये रिजल्ट अपन को कुछ नहीं मिलने वाला, नेशनल अवार्ड नहीं मिलता है अपन को, अपन काम करते हैं, बाद में बात करेंगे. आई रिमेंबर हम काम कर रहे थे, अभिषेक जैन जस्ट कॉल्ड एंड ही सेड कि बेयार को नेशनल अवार्ड नहीं मिला. तो मैंने बोला ओ ओके ओके सर ओके, और तुम लोगों को मिल गया. तो मैंने बोला क्या. मैंने बोला, तो बोले कि तुम लोगों को नेशनल अवार्ड मिल गया. तो मैंने बोला मजाक मत करो सर. बोले नहीं नहीं मिल गया है. एंड देन देयर वाज जस्ट कंप्लीट ब्लर फॉर 15 मिनट्स. and this disbelief is not just us. I called my father and said national award mila, and till then वो मीटिंग हो चुकी थी कि अब ये गूंगा बोलना चाहिए, नहीं तो फिर इन लोगों को बंद कर देंगे अभी. इन लोगों को अपना CA का काम शुरू करेंगे ये. तो एंड आई टोल्ड हिम कि नेशनल अवार्ड मिला है. तो ही वाज लाइक कि वो क्या होता है. बोला वो प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया देते हैं, वो इट्स द प्रेसिडेंट्स अवार्ड, हर साल मिलता है. तो बोले सच में तुमको मिला है. तो मैंने बोला हाँ. तो बोले लिंक भेज. तो मैंने बोला वो मैंने खुद ने अभी तक लिंक खोल के तो देखा नहीं कि मुझे कि हमें किस कैटेगरी में मिला है. एंड देन हम ढूंढ रहे नहीं मिल रहा है, क्योंकि वो प्रेस इन्फॉर्मेशन ब्यूरो की वेबसाइट पर आता है, एंड देन वो गवर्नमेंट वेबसाइट्स खुलती है नहीं खुलती है, किस पर कहाँ लेट अपडेट होता है. देन आई कॉल्ड अभिषेक जैन, बोला सर आप मुझे लिंक दो ना, मुझे तो नहीं दिख रहा है. तो बोले अच्छा विश्वास नहीं करेगा, मुझे इतना दुख हो रहा है यहाँ पर और तुम विश्वास करने को रेडी नहीं हो कि तुमको नेशनल अवार्ड मिला है. बोला नहीं सर पापा पूछ रहे हैं. तो बोले आज के बाद नहीं पूछेंगे, ये लिंक मैं तेरे को दे देता. देन ही टेक्स्टेड मी द लिंक एंड आई सेंट इट टू हिम, एंड आई थिंक that was elation for Hillaro. We were expecting a national award. That is the problem. And then what happened was that we were all sitting together जब announce हुआ कि आज 3 बजे 3:30 बजे national award announce होगा. And then we were all sitting in the office, सब लोग इकट्ठा हो गए थे. आयुष was leaving for Vienna. उसकी 2 बजे की फ्लाइट थी, एंड हमने 1:30 बजे ऐसा ट्वीट आया गवर्नमेंट का कि नेशनल अवार्ड अनाउंस हो रहा है 3 बजे. एंड वी वर एक्सपेक्टिंग इट कि कुछ तो मिलेगा, बेस्ट गुजराती मिलेगा, ऐसा लग रहा था. And then we were like कि आयुष उतर जा फ्लाइट में से, नेशनल अवार्ड अनाउंस हो रहा है. तो बोले गारंटी कितने की देता है. मेरी 75,000 की फ्लाइट है और मेरा वहां पे पूरा ट्रिप कैंसिल हो रहा है यूरोप का फ्रेंड्स के साथ. तू गारंटी लेता है कि मिलेगा तो मैं उतरता हूँ. तो मैंने बोला नहीं गारंटी नहीं है. तो बोले तो मैं जा रहा हूँ. बोला ठीक है. एंड देन वी वर ऑल वेटिंग फॉर 1.5 hours, एंड देन अनाउंसमेंट स्टार्टेड, एंड वी वर ऑल वेटिंग विद बेटेड ब्रेथ के बेस्ट गुजराती फिल्म आने वाला है. हर लैंग्वेज का अनाउंस होता गया, एंड देन सेड बेस्ट गुजराती फिल्म, एंड दे सेड रेवा. And you were like, गए and then you like completely like dejected के खत्म. पर हमको ऐसा था कि शायद कोई और कैटेगरी में दे दे, जैसे हमें बेस्ट डेब्यू के लिए मिला था गूंगा पहलवान में, शायद बेस्ट डेब्यू क्योंकि अभिषेक भाई का डेब्यू है, तो कुछ शायद कुछ मिल जाए. तो हम देखते गए, एंड सडनली देयर वाज दिस फर्स्ट अवार्ड अनाउंस के ऑल 13 एक्ट्रेसेस फ्रॉम द फिल्म वन द स्पेशल जूरी अवार्ड. एंड देन लाइक क्या बात है, चलो कुछ रिकॉग्निशन मिला. एंड तब तक एक गुजराती फिल्म फ्रेटर्निटी करके ग्रुप है जिसमें ऑल द गुजराती फिल्म मेकर्स एंड प्रोड्यूसर्स एंड एक्टर्स एंड एवरीवन आर देयर. वहां पे रेवा के लिए बहुत ज्यादा एड्यूलेशन शुरू हो गया था. ये लाइक के ओ नो फोन बंद करो, ये क्या हो रहा है, अपन को नहीं मिल रहा है. एंड देन ये आया, एंड देन हम देखते जा रहे हैं एक एक करके कैटेगरीज जाती जा रही है. बेस्ट फिल्म ऑन सोशल इश्यूज गया, बेस्ट डेब्यू गया, बेस्ट डायरेक्टर गया, बेस्ट सिनेमेटोग्राफर एडिटर, कुछ नहीं मिला. एंड देन बेस्ट फीचर फिल्म गोज टू अ गुजराती फिल्म, एंड देन इट वाज अ ब्लर. Then it was a complete blur. We just forgot everything. I remember that हमारी बिल्डिंग, ऑफिस बिल्डिंग में we were like 30 odd people in our studio over there, and ऑफिस बिल्डिंग में से सब लोग आ गए that stop this nonsense, तुम इतनी आवाज क्यों कर रहे हो. And then we all had to tell them that we'd won the best feature film. We are the best film in entire India this year. 500 पिक्चर बनाए. तो बोले वो कुछ भी होगा, आवाज बंद करो please. But it was that kind of disbelief, and suddenly, and we'd not put out anything about the film till then, and suddenly this pressure कि हमको 1 घंटे में कुछ makeshift poster बना करके online announce करना है, and again disbelief in the entire Gujarati film fraternity and even the media that we'd won anything, because we called Times of India and said कि we'd won the best feature film award, and then they said नहीं सर गलती हो रही है, रेवा को मिला है गुजराती का. बोला हमको गुजराती का नहीं मिला, हमको पूरे का मिला. बोले नहीं सर आप एक बार देखिए. तो हमको लगा यार अब इन सबको लिंक्स भेजनी पड़ेगी. हमने एक वीडियो बनाया, देन वी शेयर्ड इट. आई थिंक इट टुक अस 3 hours for everyone to believe that it happened, and then the chief minister tweeted, and then the minister of information broadcasting Prakash Javadekar tweeted, and that was the point in time that everyone knew. And suddenly this entire media and everyone just wanted to see the film, everyone wanted to be a part of it. It was disbelief. I think that is what it begins with. And then of course there is this pressure कि अब ऑडियंस को कैसी लगेगी, नेशनल अवार्ड जीत गए हो, क्या होगा क्या नहीं. एंड देन दिस प्रेशर ऑफ व्हाट नेक्स्ट. सो दैट ऑल कम्स लेटर, बट आई थिंक द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट कम्स इज डिसबिलीफ.
आई थिंक हमारी प्रायोरिटी में जब अवार्ड आता है तो हम लोग मजे ज्यादा करते हैं तो हम उसके बाद कुछ नहीं करते हैं। तो गंगा पहलवान के साथ भी ऐसा ही हुआ एंड आई थिंक एलआरओ के बाद भी ऐसा ही हुआ कि हमको इतना मजा आता है तो हम वी जस्ट एंजॉय, ऑफिस जाते हैं, खाना खाते हैं, थोड़ा काम करते हैं और फिर घर आ जाते हैं। हम सिर्फ यही करते हैं 1-2 साल तक और उसके बाद हम लोग शायद कुछ करते हैं। तो अभी आफ्टर कोरोना वी आर थिंकिंग ऑफ डूइंग समथिंग, बट आई थिंक जब अवार्ड अनाउंस हुआ था गंगा पहलवान का तब तो मुझे ध्यान नहीं है, बट इसके बाद क्या हुआ था कि बहुत बारिश हुई थी शाम को और हम लोग पूरी रात जगे थे। सुबह हम लोग न्यूज़पेपर जहाँ पे नेहरू नगर पे हर जगह जहाँ से न्यूज़पेपर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होते हैं, हम लोग वहाँ पे गए थे देखने के लिए कि न्यूज़पेपर वालों ने क्या प्रिंट किया है। तो दैट वाज वेरी नाइस। वो एक्सपीरियंस बहुत अच्छा था। सुबह 5 बजे हम लोग 5 बजे तक जगे पहले तो, और फिर बाद में सब जगह सारे न्यूज़पेपर लिए और देखा तो पहले दिन कुछ इतना नहीं छपा था तो हमको बहुत ऐसा लगा यार क्या हुआ। फिर बाद में सबको हमने प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस रखी और सबको रियलाइज करवाया कि ये क्या है चीज, और उसके बाद धीरे धीरे मीडिया स्टार्टेड प्रिंटिंग अबाउट हिलारो। बट क्योंकि पिक्चर भी रिलीज नहीं हुई थी तो लोगों के लिए ज्यादा कंटेंट नहीं था। बट आई थिंक उसके बाद लोगों को 2-3 दिन बाद समझ आया कि what went through with हिलारो। एंड बस ऐसा ही कुछ होता है। मतलब अवार्ड्स, जब हिलारो की एक बात करूं तो फिल्म जब हम लोग शूट कर रहे थे और हमको पता था ये बहुत ही डिफिकल्ट, चैलेंजिंग, रिस्की सब कुछ, बट व्हेन वी वर शूटिंग इट वी वर फीलिंग वेरी कॉन्फिडेंट, वी वर फीलिंग वेरी, मतलब ये ऐसा हमको बहुत ही आध्यात्मिक मोमेंट मिलते थे रोज। फिल्म जब शूट हो रही थी तब सेट के ऊपर सारे लोग बहुत ही खुश होते थे। सब लोग को स्ट्रगल बहुत होती थी, पानी पीने की भी थोड़ी दिक्कत आती थी क्योंकि हम लोग डेजर्ट एरिया में शूट करते थे। But somehow everybody was satisfied with the kind of film making that we were doing. हमको पता था, हम लोग के पास लोग आके बोलते थे कि सर आप लोग का अवार्ड है, नेशनल अवार्ड है। मतलब भाई ऐसे अवार्ड नहीं मिलते हैं। हर कोई को लगता है कि हम हर कोई बेस्ट करता है, बट लेट अस सी सेट पे इतना सैनिटी था, सब लोग को बहुत खुश होते थे और सब लोग को ऐसा एक्सपेक्टेशन था कि ये फिल्म को अवार्ड मिलना चाहिए। वैसे सबकी इच्छा होती है बट वो कभी रियलाइज नहीं होती यार, वो कभी बिलीफ में नहीं आता कि ना ये क्या सही में होगा। बट आई थिंक आफ्टर द फिल्म और जब हमको अवार्ड मिला तो सब लोग को इतना मजा आ गया कि देखो हमने आपको बोला आपको अवार्ड मिलेगा, मिला ना अवार्ड हाँ भाई चलो आपने बोला था इसीलिए मिला बट ऐसा कुछ होता है, खुशी होती है, मजा आता है और बस हम चिल करते हैं
I'd just like to add कि हम, मीत ने बोला कि हम बहुत चिल करते हैं, पर एक्चुअली विद हिलारो we didn't get any time to chill. I think with हिलारो we spent 2 years just solving problems every single day. मतलब इवन आफ्टर द नेशनल अवार्ड हमारा ये था कि अब अगले दिन हमें रिलीज डेट अनाउंस करनी है, तो 2 हिंदी पिक्चर है जो हम डेट पर आने वाले थे वो डेट पर आ गई। देन वी वर स्क्रैम्बलिंग टू फाइंड द नेक्स्ट रिलीज डेट, एंड विद द रिलीज जस्ट स्क्रैम्बलिंग टू रेज द मनी फॉर द रिलीज। इवन आफ्टर द अवार्ड द नेक्स्ट 4 months we just spent every day working at least 16 to 18 hours a day trying to pull the film up in a way where we can make it reach to the maximum number of people, and just trying to find the right strategy of marketing the film without having a lot of money. But I think National Award really helped, and that happened even after the release of the film. We were just fighting problems till January, I think. We were, yeah, it was a constant barrage of things that just kept coming at us, and we had no idea of how to deal with it, but I think somehow we just floated by.
Yeah, I agree. It's a different feeling altogether when your efforts kind of are met with recognition in one or the other way. But we do know that in reality, not everybody is able to meet, the kind of recognition that one deserves. And so I think when we kind of get that, we are the lucky ones, we are the chosen ones, and our hard, efforts did kind of pay. So I have a lot of questions. However, there is a list of questions in my chat box as well, and I would want people to kind of engage with you, ask you questions if they have any. But I have one last question for you. What is your message to the young students, the community of Ahmedabad University, who is listening to you, attending this show, in terms of what should they do? I mean, of course, Ahmedabad University offers this kind of freedom. It offers enough flexibility, interdisciplinarity. The approach is very unconventional, and we are open to looking at requirements case on case basis. Yet, students need some kind of example, at least from peers like you. So, what is your message to them?
I think so. Find your calling is something that I would say right at the outset, but that is something that everyone knows, that you'd find something that you like and then do that for your life. But I think, especially from my example, I took every opportunity that college gave me, that the university gave me. I participated in everything. I mean, we would just go to the staff room with weird ideas, and I'm very lucky to say that I had these group of professors, Parag sir, you ma'am, Neha ma'am, Sharija ma'am, Evaisha sir, Darshana ma'am, that would never just say no, Vibha ma'am, who'd never just say no to any idea, who'd just listen to you and then say, हाँ ये अच्छा है पर इसको कुछ ऐसा 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 सोचो ना, तो फिर ऐसा करेंगे तो शायद possible होगा. Even with anything that we wanted to do in college, so that was something that we got a brilliant opportunity to do at Ahmedabad University, and I think that is something that everyone needs to exploit to the fullest. That just, you have so many people, you have so many professors, you've just go to them and just talk to them, grab every opportunity that you can, participate in as many things that you like. There is a dance club, there is a theater club, there's everything there. You just need to explore those things, exploit those opportunities, find what you're best at, and then do it. And I think if you do that, there is enough support that's available within the ecosystem, and even outside, but definitely within the ecosystem is something that a student would require initially. And I'm really glad that all my teachers were so open-minded about everything, and about all about everything we take them up to. Because कोई कॉमर्स कॉलेज में जो सीए कर रहे हो आकर के बोलेंगे कि हमको एक कॉलेज में एक फिल्म फेस्टिवल करना है डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज का, they'd be met with like, हाँ नहीं कॉलेज के कल्चरल फेस्टिवल के वक्त कर लेना, बट they'd say कि कब करना है, ओके कैसे करोगे, ओके कौन आएगा, ओके क्या होगा. And that is that gave us the wings to just fly and explore, and that I think just turned me into from who I was, this 50 kg shy person who would not think anything apart from his accounts notes in his CA coaching class, to someone who would like to explore what is out there. And I think that is something that I would suggest the students to do from even from their seniors. I think Rushabh Bhai is here with us today, and a lot of other people, and a lot of juniors too. I was very lucky to at least know people from 7 batches, like at least 2 batches मेरे से पहले, and at least 4 or 5 batches mere baad, to, and that really helped me. So many people that have worked with Videowala, that have worked on Gunga Pelwan, that have worked on our films. I think Dheer is here, Samarth is here, Atman, Jairaj, Rustam, everyone. Aarti did subtitles for Hillaro. I think everyone, most of our key crew people we found from Ahmedabad University, and that is something that's amazing, because we do a lot of hiring right now from a lot of different places, but I think we've never found people who are better. But I don't know, there's this weird comfort under. So I would say that just explore, just exploit all the opportunities that are there. And I think you will find something that you really like, and you will find the support to go after it, and then just jump. And I think that you'll kuch ho jayega.
Yes, absolutely. Meet, you would like to add something to it?
Yes, yes. मतलब कॉलेज का जो टाइम है ना, आई थिंक जो विचार आया वो इम्प्लीमेंट करना चाहिए. एंड वी वर रियली फॉर्चुनेट एंड लकी दैट वी वर हैंडल्ड बाय वेरी वेरी स्मार्ट प्रोफेसर्स लाइक यू. मतलब सप्तम मैम, शारिजा मैम, नेहा मैम, पराग सर, कडिया सर, एवाइसा सर, बारोट सर. आई थिंक मैं एक बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग इंसिडेंट बताता हूँ. हम लोग आई थिंक भक्तिदा मैम ने आई थिंक एक वो ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं हर बार. अपन को कहाँ लेके जाते हैं? आई थिंक
ओल्ड एज
होम में. वो आई थिंक मैं नाम भूल गया.
जीवन संध्या.
तो जीवन संध्या ओल्ड एज होम में लेके जाते थे. तो एसवाई में मुझे याद है, तो जब हम लोग वहां पे जाके आए तो बहुत ही ज्यादा हम लोग रोने लगे थे. हम लोग को लगा था यार क्या रियलिटी है लाइफ की. एंड देन व्हाइल कमिंग बैक टू द कॉलेज हम लोग ने सोचा कि वी शुड डू समथिंग related to social service. And then I think कडिया सर के साथ जब बात किया तो कडिया सर ने बोला कि हाँ क्यों नहीं, आप लोग बताओ क्या करना चाहते हो. और उसके बाद शायद पराग सर से बात हुई तो सर ने बोला कि whatever you want to do it in a formal way and make it a presentation and we will listen to it and then we'll see whether you can do it or not. तो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग था, क्योंकि एसवाई में प्रेजेंटेशन तब तक तो इतना प्रेजेंटेशन को सीरियसली हम लेते नहीं थे, और फिर बाद में आई थिंक हम लोग सब मिले, इकट्ठा हुए, और प्रिंसिपल सर की कैबिन में मुझे याद है सब प्रोफेसर्स थे और हम सब लोग थे, और हम सब ने इन्फिनिटी एज एन आइडिया प्रेजेंट किया था। और फिर बाद में आई थिंक एवरीबडी लाइक्ड इट, और सबने बोला कि ठीक है, यू गाइस कैन डू इट। और फिर बाद में हमको सपोर्ट मिला, तो और फिर हम जो भी चीज लेके जाते थे, अगर थोड़ा बहुत भी ठीक होता था तो हमको वो प्लेटफॉर्म दिया जाता था कॉलेज का, जहाँ पे हम कॉलेज में क्लास में जाके अनाउंसमेंट करते थे, आई थिंक रिसेस के पहले की 5 मिनट, और हम हर एक क्लास में जाते थे और सबको अपील करते थे, ज्वाइन इन्फिनिटी, हमारे साथ जुड़ो, म्यूनसिपल स्कूल्स में आके काम करो हमारे साथ, और हमको वो प्लेटफॉर्म दिया जाता था। सो दैट इज वेरी नाइस दैट you get such platform, और यहाँ पे आपको इतना सपोर्ट मिले, एंड देन वी एक्सप्लॉइटेड इट। मुझे याद है हम लोग ने फुल एक्सप्लॉइट किया है वो प्लेटफॉर्म को, तो वो बहुत ही अच्छा है। सो आई थिंक बस कॉलेज में इतना है कि आप बस यू जस्ट डू इट, रादर देन थिंकिंग ये कितना मुझे फ्रूटफुल होगा आगे फ्यूचर में। मैं सीए बनना चाहता था, तो शायद मैं इन्फिनिटी में ज्वाइन होता ही नहीं, बट मुझे सीए करना था, पर साथ में ऐसा था कि नहीं, लेट मी एक्सप्लोर, दिस इज द थिंग दैट एक्साइट्स मी, सो आई विल डू इट, एंड आई डिड इट। तो शायद सीए बाद में किया ही नहीं मैंने, तो जो एक्साइट किया वही चीज की आज तक, तो वैसा कुछ मुझे लगता है।
Right. I think this is going to be of great help to our students to make maximum of what is given to you. And we do at Ahmedabad University. The platform is kind of broad, wide enough to accommodate everybody in whichever way you are interested in, kind of using this potential. So thank you so very much. And sticking to the format where we have 1 hour of conversation and then another 30 minutes of question and answer, I mean, because Professor Chandra is here, if he wants to kind of have a question, or wants to talk to, or wants to make a comment or observation, please, sir.
Well, first and foremost, I thoroughly enjoyed your conversation, and I'm sure you in person, and I was dreaming what your life may have been when you were at the university. Must have been so fascinating, because both of you have such wonderful personalities, and I have my wish for you. I hope you keep this smile, this joy, and this humility always with your life, because I think so. Congratulations, Meet, and congratulations, Prateek. I'm very delighted to be with you. And there are many lessons that you were throwing. I was just and the first one, sometimes people don't understand. I have to tell you sometimes stories. So I finished my engineering, and a professor of mine says that tum Alaska jaoge masters karne. So now, absolutely bizarre, and I come back home and I'm thinking that, yeah, I think I should go. And my rationale, what was? Koi gaya nahi hai Alaska jisko main janta hu. I mean, it was such a bizarre reason, but it was actually, it's a reason which is yours. And I read many such reasons which were yours in what you were talking, self-belief. And I think this sense of struggle, but keeping on, keeping long enough in the game. If you keep playing long enough, I think there's going to be definitely things coming your way, pushing yourself. I mean, both of you show enormous combination of intelligence and instinct. I mean, I'm just thinking about it, how valuable that is. I mean, CA is not a joke, to get through CA. You guys are making very light of that achievement, but I think you have that, and build on your instinct. So I by the way, I really enjoyed Hilaro. Okay, I understood bits and pieces of it, but I got it. I think, and I went there simply because I liked the poster so dramatically. Your poster was so fascinating, and that I thought I have to go see the film. So and you talked about a generational shift in understanding of what achievement is. You talk so fondly about your parents, and you know, I mean, and this is that generation. It's just a generation jump that you all did, and your parents also did that, you know. In phenomenal credit to them, you know, given we are all bound by circumstances of our environment. We've grown up in our own environments in quite some ways, and to make that kind of jump, I think, which they did and you did, is just so fascinating. So I I I also agree with you, you know, करना है ना तो उसको सोचना नहीं है उसमें करना ही है. And you know, if you stay long enough, you have your heart, you have your mind, you're bright, you're instinctive. I think something good, your heart is at the right place. And all the stories that you told about yourself was telling me that both of your hearts is at the right place. You know, the kind of comment that you made about the sets of Hilaro was, everybody was very happy. They were joyous. There was something special. It doesn't come by itself, you know. So, and I think you people are wise, but let me end, you know, I'm very fond of this line from this American writer, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who says, you know, wisdom stems out of goodness, not otherwise. Okay, people keep saying, oh, hame wise hona hai, but you know, heart of wisdom is goodness. And I guess both of you embody that goodness. So Prateek and me. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the kind words.
So, Prateek and Meet, I have a message from Neha, who is missing this session but has conveyed her wishes for both of you and wishing a very, very bright future for both of you. Let me take some of the questions from the chat box. So we have a question from Shashank, the Gujarati industry in particular.
I think it's changing for the better. I think there are more opportunities now. Like taking a film to cinemas is a very, very difficult thing. But with OTTs coming along, there are people who are putting in money for the filmmakers to make films that they believe in. You don't necessarily need to make a huge box office. People don't need to spend 200 rupees out of their own pocket to go watch an art house film, which they usually wouldn't, because they'd go out with their families to watch a family entertainer. But with OTTs coming in, those kind of films will get made. And I think that will really help filmmakers to achieve their vision in terms of making what they want to make and not really being bound by the norms of the box office and by what box office demands out of a certain film in terms of when popular cinema is considered. So I think with the changing scenario, more and more content is going to get made. I think there are 4 OTT platforms that are coming in from Gujarat for Gujarati content, which is a surprise because right now we don't have enough content to fill up even one entire platform. And that is considering the entire 60 years of Gujarati cinema. But I think with these platforms coming up, I hear of newer and newer people getting into this business of cinema, getting into this process of storytelling and telling what they want. Like, I think that is most important. With the advent of digital cameras, with the advent of mobile phones that can shoot HD footage, that has become so, it's become so easy for people to just express themselves. Like we make light of what Instagram reels are or what TikTok is, but it just gives someone an opportunity, even if it is for 15 seconds, to just come out and express themselves. And I think that is what this shift is, that all kinds of content is being consumed right now. And especially this lockdown has made everyone well versed in terms of, even my father now knows what Prime Video and Netflix is, which he wouldn't normally know. He just knows his news channels, but because of this entire lockdown, he just got to see his favorite old films on these OTT platforms. And that's what I think everyone is going to be there. And I wouldn't in any way reduce the importance of cinemas, because in a way cinemas will remain the communal way of watching this film. It will become a more celebrated experience, matlab, I don't see it going out. Like, for example, how you can stay at home and eat any kind of food that you want, but still going out to eat still remains this thing that you would do. Same will be with cinemas. And there will be films that will be watched on the big screen, because that is where the true magic happens. But this, I think it will give more people more opportunities. And I think Gujarati film industry and Gujarati content industry in general is on the rise. And I think it's just going to go, it's just going to just go. I mean, there's no limit. I'm seeing so many people make so many great things. So I think, Shashank, ऐसा मुझे लगता है, देखते हैं क्या होता है 5 साल में.
Yeah, I agree absolutely. And what you said about your father, yes, we sometimes tend to, I mean, these stereotypes get so very much internalized, that we start thinking that these are things which are natural. For example, yes, my parents, we did not, we stopped getting the printed newspaper since the lockdown, and both of them, my parents have news apps, and they read news on their mobile phones. And if it doesn't work, they're gonna get panicked. Why is it not working? So yes, okay. We have another question from
Ma'am, if I can have a follow-up question.
Sure, yes, Shashank.
Yeah, Prateek bhai, just one more question, adding to what I asked earlier. So what do you think, the consumption of the cinema, or for that matter, for any content, this deregularization and of the OTT platforms by the mode of OTT platforms that we have, do you think it will affect the quality of content?
I
So
think,
how do you think about that?
Personally, I'd be very blunt about it, and I think it will definitely impact storytellers in terms of what they want to say. Storytellers cannot be, I wouldn't want them, if I was in a position of power, I wouldn't want them to be restricted by what they think would be accepted by the government. I don't think that's how storytelling works, because then it's just, then it's corrupted in its form, because then you are making what you think will not create any problems. And I think that's something that I think that there's an issue. However, censorship has always been there in India in cinema. It will now be on OTT platforms as well. More in terms of what they want to say will be impacted rather than the quality. But yeah, I think that in the back of even while we are writing our next project, there's always this something at the back of our mind कि यार ये शायद problem create करेगा यार, ये शायद cut हो जाएगा, ये ऐसा होगा. And especially after going through this entire process of Hillaro, where there was a case filed against the film for using a certain word in the film, and we had to go through these 6 months. At the end, the High Court, the Honorable High Court of Gujarat quashed the FIR, but we had a non-bailable offense against all our names, against 7 people, including the writers, producers, directors, editor of the film, everyone. And it's just, so I don't think that it's a great idea to do this. It should be done, but but no absolute power should be given to anyone. And and now that the appellate tribunal also for the censor has been removed, it gives absolute power to the censor board to do anything that they want. So I think that's something that is problematic.
So the next question is from Virti. Virti, would you like to unmute yourself and ask a question yourself? Or do I go ahead and ask? Okay. So Virti is asking, do you have any advice for young filmmakers out there? And do you think it is necessary to go to a film institute in order to become a successful filmmaker? We have an example over here, but yet if you would like to answer this.
ये कैसा है कि दो थियरीज हैं इसके अंदर कि मैं अगर फिल्म स्कूल जाऊंगा तो ही सक्सेसफुल बनूंगा, या मैं फिल्म स्कूल नहीं जाऊंगा तो ही सक्सेसफुल होऊंगा. दोनों थियरी है. अब दोनों थियरी वर्क करते हैं अलग अलग लोगों के साथ. सो इसका कोई सेट प्रोसीजर, सेट गाइडलाइन नहीं है कि आप फिल्म स्कूल जाओगे तो ही अच्छे फिल्म मेकर बनोगे, या आप फिल्म स्कूल नहीं जाओगे तो आप नहीं ही बनोगे. I think filmmaking is a very personal thing. I think the more you are sensitized, the more आप जितना ज्यादा सोचते हो, इंटरनलाइज करते हो चीजों को, आप जितना अलग अलग पर्सपेक्टिव से आप चीजों को देखते हो, वो ज्यादा मैटर करता है. हाँ, डेफिनेटली फिल्म मेकिंग एज एन आर्ट आपको सीखने के लिए आपको थोड़ी बहुत चीजें और सीखनी पड़ती है. आई थिंक ओवर कोर्स ऑफ टाइम आप सीख लेते हो, बट द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज टू गेट सेंसिटाइज्ड, टू इंटरनलाइज योर थॉट्स. वो सबसे ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. और उसके बाद आई थिंक अगर आपको इतना अंदर से कॉलिंग है तो आप डेफिनेटली कहीं जाओगे, आप सीखोगे. आई थिंक फॉर एस्टैब्लिश्ड फिल्म मेकर यू नीड टू मेक गुड फिल्म्स, और गुड फिल्म्स के लिए कोई भी रास्ता है. आई थिंक आप in this coming age after covid everybody is inclined toward लोग खुद से सीख रहे हैं, खुद से वर्कशॉप्स ले रहे हैं. सो आई थिंक फिल्म स्कूल मतलब वो बहुत ही सब्जेक्टिव है. नोबडी कैन आंसर एन एब्सोल्यूट आंसर दैट ये जाओगे तो ये होगा. देयर इज नो एब्सोल्यूट आंसर, बट आई थिंक इट इज अप टू यू. हाउ आर यू थिंकिंग, हाउ आर यू सीइंग दिस वर्ल्ड, व्हाट डू यू थिंक दैट इज suitable for you, that will make you a good filmmaker, rather than asking somebody. That is what I would feel, that just be with you, think that तुम क्या सोचते हो, तुम किस तरीके से चीजों को देखते हो, क्या तुम सही में उस तरीके से चीज देखने के लिए रेडी हो, and then I think calling will be there.
I'd just like to add to this. I think that filmmaking is a very broad field. So first, I think there is something that you need to find out what you want to do in this field. Do you want to be a cinematographer? Do you want to be a director? Do you want to be an editor, writer? What is it that you want to do? And every field has a different craft attached to it. While there's so much focus on the art of filmmaking, the craft of filmmaking is just as important. And so for certain fields, I think, like, for example, for cinematography, it's very, very, very essential. I'd say it's very useful for at least for you to get formal training, because you don't get it otherwise. So that's something that's very technical, that has a lot of craft attached to it. But if you want to become a director, if you want to become a writer, maybe you have the knack, maybe you have that way of storytelling already, and you just know that once you start telling stories. So I think my suggestion to anybody who wants to pursue filmmaking is something that I haven't been able to do in the past few years, is to just go out and make what you like. Because after a point, that is all that matters. Like, if you have 5 days, you want to make a short video out of something, just go out and make it. And that is how you will polish your craft. You will understand what you don't know, and maybe then it would be a good, and you'll understand what you want to do. Because I started out when I wanted to become a cinematographer. I even sat for an exam for FTII, but didn't go through. So I wanted to become a cinematographer, and then somehow I realized that no, that's not something that I really like. I really like editing films, and I really like directing films. So finally I went towards that, and I still want to go to a film school someday, maybe just do a fellowship program or something like that, learn other kinds of productions, learn what happens across the world. So that is something that happens, that is there. So like Meet said, that there's no definite answer to whether you should go to a film school or not. It just depends on what you want to do, and how how much of a storyteller is there in you already, because that's what finally matters. If you want to become a director and a writer, that is what matters.
Okay, thank you, Prateek and Meet. And we have the next question from Soumya Tandon, and she would like to ask this question herself.
Good evening, sir. I'm sure you must have watched many films on the way to making one yourself. So could you tell us about some of the filmmakers or writers who impacted your style of filmmaking?
For documentary, I'd say Anand Patwardhan is the foremost example for me for documentary filmmaking. Just how he just picks up a camera alone and just keeps making a film for years and years on end till he's satisfied that he's covered all aspects of a particular issue. He's someone that I have been really inspired by for documentaries. There are a lot of other international filmmakers, but for I think for feature films, that's now that which is where your question is. And even for documentary, you could watch films from Nandan Saxena and Kavita Bell. They're just great. But for feature films, some of my favorite filmmakers are I love what David Fincher does. I love films of Godard. I've watched a lot of films of Akira Kurosawa, which are the classic art house cinema. But a lot of Indian filmmakers have shaped how I perceive films. Ketan Mehta's Mirch Masala has had a great impact on me. I just recently watched, and I am And I'm sad to say that I recently watched it, but I recently watched Bimal Roy's Do Biga Zameen, and I thought that that is something that each and every one of us need to watch if we want to become storytellers. Bimal Roy, Sham Benegal, uh, Vijay Anand, all of these filmmakers, I think from India, even contemporary ones like Vidhu Vinod Chopra or Mr. Bansali or Mr. Raju Irani, all of them have Neeraj Ghavan is a recent favorite. All of them have their own things. I think what kind of cinema you like will dictate what kind of filmmakers that you'd probably be interested in. But as a filmmaking student, probably it is wise to watch all the art, all the old classics, because it's sometimes even I felt that it's very overrated कि मैं मुझे नहीं देखना ये सब, मैं क्यों देखूं, वो तो बना के चले गए, मुझे नया बनाना है कुछ, मुझे नोलन नहीं देखना है. But I think to see what in terms of kitne limitations mein unhone kya kya bana diya just through the sheer will of storytelling is something that is great to learn from those old classics. Meet would have his own.
Yes, so डॉक्यूमेंट्री में जैसे बताया, एक नाम और ऐड करना चाहूंगा, स्टैलिन के डायरेक्टर, जो जिससे मैं बहुत ज्यादा इंस्पायर हुआ जिनकी फिल्म्स देख के. इंडिया अनटच जो हमने पहली बार फिल्म देखी, और उसके बाद मैंने उनकी सारी बनी हुई फिल्म देखी, और फिर बाद में डॉक्यूमेंट्री के लिए मुझे सबसे ज्यादा अवेयरनेस वो स्टैलिन केक के साथ बात करके आया, एंड हाउ अ फिल्म कैन चेंज योर पर्सपेक्टिव. तो आई थिंक डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज हैव रियली सेंसिटाइज्ड अस. मतलब मैं और प्रतीक और आयुष, हम लोग की अगर मैं बात करूँ तो हम लोग बहुत ज्यादा सेंसिटाइज हुए जब हम लोग ने डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म्स देखी. हम लोग फीचर फिल्म्स देख रहे थे, बट पर्सपेक्टिव मिला डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म्स देखने के बाद. और स्पेशली जब हम लोग फिल्म क्लब चलाते थे, जब हम लोग ने फिल्म फेस्टिवल ऑर्गेनाइज किया और बहुत सारी फिल्म्स देखी, तो हमको पता चला कि क्या इश्यूज हैं वर्ल्ड में, और हम किस तरीके से हम एक अपने छोटा सा एक अपना कस्बा बना के जीते हैं, जबकि दुनिया कितनी बड़ी है, क्या क्या इश्यूज हैं. तो डॉक्यूमेंट्री इज समथिंग रियली क्लोज टू माय हार्ट, और हमको बहुत अच्छा लगता है फिल्म्स बनाना और डॉक्यूमेंट्री फिल्म्स देखना. एंड फीचर की बात करें तो जैसे बताया, तो मैं बहुत सारे लोगों को देखता हूँ. ऐसा स्पेशल किसी एक को मैं किसी एक से मैं इंस्पायर नहीं हूँ. मैं बहुत सारे फिल्म मेकर्स को मैं देखता हूँ, और मेरा एक प्रॉब्लम है, मुझे सबका काम अच्छा लगता है, तो मैं सब लोग का देखता हूँ और सब लोग का देख के लगता है कि क्या काम किया है, बहुत अच्छा है, कुछ करना चाहिए. सो आई थिंक अभी तक कोई ऐसा डेफिनेट मेरे पास ऐसा आंसर नहीं कि मैं सिर्फ इनसे इंस्पायर होता हूँ. मैं सारे फिल्म मेकर्स जितने भी प्रतीक ने नाम बोले, और काफी सारे नाम्स हैं, बट हाँ, मुझे सारी फिल्म्स जो अच्छी फिल्म्स होती है, जो कुछ मैसेज कन्वे करती हैं, वो सारी फिल्म्स देखने का बहुत ही मजा आता है. आई थिंक आई ट्राई टू लर्न समथिंग आउट ऑफ इट. दैट इज हाउ आई व्यू अ फिल्म.
Sorry, I'll just take this liberty. There are 3 films that I watched in the last year, and I think everyone of in this, I think I can share. सबको देखनी चाहिए. Recently watched The Great Indian Kitchen, which I think every young person on this planet, especially in India at least, should watch.
Indian
Please
male.
watch.
Indian
Absolutely,
male.
absolutely,
You-
absolutely.
फीमेल को भी जरूरत है, दोनों को देखना चाहिए कि आपको निकल जाना है.
So The Great Indian Kitchen is something that you guys should really watch. Kumbalangi Nights is another film that is very close to my heart that I would suggest everyone to watch, and Jallikattu is another film. And all these 3 films are films from the last year, and they are absolute modern classics. I would just go on to say that these will be the films that 20 years, 50 years from now will be talked about in the stride, like we talk about Bimal Roy or Sham Benegal, is what I think. So.
एंड अगर हिल्ला रोने देखिए तो हिल्ला रोटी.
So since you mentioned about classics, and you've been mentioning some of the names which may look like classics now but have been, kind of avant-garde for their times, much ahead of their times. So this is genre, because there are not many questions lined up, so I'm taking liberty to ask one of my questions. There's this genre, avant-garde art, which tries to beat all forms of conventional format for these expressions, including theater and films, and they're very abstract, but they have a very implicit kind of message and format. Have you tried to explore that? And some of the films that I have known, which are very different in their format, for example, Searching, that I know of, and Burning, that I know of, they're very different in the sense, in its old treatment. Have you sort of experimenting with these with the form, the movie, I mean film form.
Searching is Searching the 2018 film by Anish that you're talking about?
I don't exactly remember the name of the producer, but um, probably it is 2018 film. Yes.
Yeah. But I think it's a very, very interesting. All of you should also watch Searching. It's a very interesting, different kind of cinema, as ma'am mentioned, the avant-garde genre. I personally don't have the bend for something like that. So I've never explored it, and I'm not sure if I'd ever be, as a director or as a writer, I'd ever be able to make something like that. But I'd be really glad if someone gave me that kind of film to edit. But I've never explored that genre, though it is very intriguing for me to watch. But never thought of exploring that in terms of making those kind of films.
वीडियो वाला में अपन ने कुछ ऐसा एक्सपेरिमेंट किया था, पुल्ली वाला एक वीडियो बनाया था. So I think back in 2014 we tried something different, very different, wherein the object I think इस तरीके से ऑब्जेक्ट रिवर्स में चल रहा था and everything else was in sync. वो वीडियो भी बहुत वायरल हुआ था. उसके बाद हम लोग ने कभी कुछ एक्सपेरिमेंट वैसा नहीं किया, बट हाँ कुछ करते हैं, बट ऐसा कुछ ज्यादा इंक्लिनेशन नहीं है.
Our inclination has always been to say stories which are very close to which are from the soil of the land, which are very close to the issues that we see around us, and also like the treatment as well. Like because our inspiration has been through documentaries, the treatment also follows that kind of a process where we don't really go all out in terms of exploring the creative potential of that idea, but rather just focus on how we can probably present it to the audience in a way where the message conveys the best. I think it's also easier to do, but yeah. But
you never know what future is going to bring to you. Okay, we have last question from Siddharth Sheth. Siddharth, would you like to unmute yourself and ask a question yourself? Okay, Siddharth is asking about the biggest mistake you probably made while making Hilaro, and if you had to change something with Hilaro, what would it be?
A lot of things. The biggest mistake that we did, which we realized was that I think we could have made it easier for us. We because we didn't know, and we didn't talk to just the enough number of people before getting into the production bandwagon, that we ended up making so many mistakes in terms of the process of the filmmaking is what I'm talking about, not in terms of what is there in the film. Because in terms of what is there in the film, of course we've lost complete objectivity, and I can probably list down at least 50 things that I'd like to really change in the film right now, in all departments. But I think the biggest, I wouldn't call it the mistake, but the biggest naivety that we probably did was wo kood jane wala. But I think it in the end it worked out. So there's nothing there was nothing lost. But I think that was something. But I think it also gave us an opportunity to make our own mistakes, lot of mistakes, and to just realize कि वो कैसे कहाँ जाकर के गाड़ी अटकेगी, पर वो पहुंच गई गाड़ी स्टेशन पर, इसलिए ठीक है. अभी मीत को शायद ज्यादा पता होगा.
Yeah, Meet, go ahead.
नहीं हिलारो के दौरान हाँ फर्स्ट टाइम हम लोग कर रहे थे, बट हम ऑन द गो मिस्टेक्स सुधार भी रहे थे बहुत सारी. सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ एवरी डिपार्टमेंट, इन टर्म्स ऑफ फिल्म मेकिंग, हाँ इनिशियली परसेप्शन अलग होता है, बट आई थिंक अभी जब नाउ आफ्टर अ सर्टेन नंबर ऑफ इयर्स अभी हम जब बैठ के देखते हैं तो इतना मिस्टेक्स दिमाग में भी नहीं आता, और इतना ऐसा लगता भी नहीं यार ये हो गया था, बिकॉज वो सक्सेसफुल रहा है. बट अगर ये सक्सेसफुल प्रोजेक्ट नहीं रहा होता तो उतना माइंड देते. अभी हम लोग सक्सेस एंजॉय कर रहे हैं तो वो मिस्टेक्स चली गई कहीं पे. और बाकी बहुत सारी मिस्टेक्स जो हमको रियलाइज हो रही थी, हमने ऑन द गो बहुत सारी चेंज किया है. मतलब जब हमको मिस्टेक पता चली कि ये हमसे गलती हुई है, हमने ऑन द स्पॉट या तो बहुत ही जल्द वो मिस्टेक को सुधारा है. in terms of film, in terms of team, in terms of everything, so that we can get the best picture to the audience. उसके लिए हम लोग ने बहुत सारी mistakes rectify की, but otherwise उसके बाद once चलो मजे करते हैं इतना ही था.
Right. Nobody can beat you actually if you're not afraid of failing. And you are always successful if you're not afraid of failing. So thank you very much, Prateek and Meet, for being here. It was a fantastic conversation. I loved each and every bit of it, talking to you, and with a sense of pride, feeling so very good about the fact that we have two students here in the alumni series. I also would like to thank the Office of Alumni Affairs and Advancement for giving me this opportunity, that I could be here, and talk to you. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody who attended, because on Saturday, in the evening, it's not that easy to attend a session, and hear, alumni members. But I think both of you pulled a good number, and attracted them to conversation. So thank you very much. And I wish you a very, very, very bright future. I think the passion with which you're working is something that nobody can copy. It's something that nobody can and present in any other form, and it's going to remain your own, very, very original, and that is what brings you, out distinguished. So thank you very much. Thank you all, and hope to see all of you again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you.